Well, talking about love, you became a grandmother for the first time in 1979. Your daughter Frances had a son, Christopher. How did you feel when he was born?
I felt for the moment that I was too young to be a grandmother. I'd thought of grandmothers up to that point as little old ladies sitting in the chimney corner with their shawl and their slippers. And I was, 44, we thought?
Yes.
I was 44, and I thought, this doesn't quite fit me. I also kept very quiet about the fact that I was a grandmother because Christopher was not well. He had to have this major surgery at 3 days old, and we weren't quite sure that he was going to live. And so part of us wanted to go around to all our friends saying, hey, we're grandparents, isn't it great? And the other half wanted to keep very quiet in case we should not be grandparents if he were to die. However, he went to Great Ormond Street. He had a successful operation.
And Christopher is now a very healthy 6-foot-tall 15-year-old, I understand.
And an excellent swimmer who swims for the county.
That's marvellous.
What a success story, and a lovely lad.
And no after effects from his illness.
He seems extraordinarily healthy at the moment.
So you also have other grandchildren. Tell me about them.
Christopher's brother Danny.
Who is how old?
He's now 12. And their sister Sarah.
Those are your daughter Frances' children.
That's right.
And your son Paul has...
He had William, who we all loved.
Do you want to tell us about William at this point?
William had severe epilepsy and sadly died. And William taught us such a lot. William we shall never forget. So that when I'm asked how many grandchildren I have, I always include William, because he has a very special place in our hearts. William's brother was Ben, and then there's another little boy, Edward. And of course, Amanda, there's your daughter, my American grandchild, who is Emma, and who charms us all.
And who's currently asleep on the sofa. Let me ask you, Margaret, how do you find being a grandparent different to being a parent?
Very different. You have all the pleasure and none of the responsibility. You can enjoy your grandchildren, then you can give them back to their parents and say, come on, you take them, I need a rest. I really didn't think of myself as a grandparent. After all, I had no grandparents myself, in that all my 4 grandparents were dead before I was born. So I had no direct experience of the grandparental relationship.
Did that make it hard for you to define your role and to play your role as a grandmother?
It meant that my role took me entirely by surprise. I had not realised how they win your heart, how they make me feel so overwhelmed with affection just by thinking about them. And yet I feel more detached from them than I did from my own children. I don't worry about them, and so I've been able to enjoy them such a lot more.
Do you feel you don't worry about them because you can trust your children to take good care of your grandchildren?
Of course I can, and because their ways of bringing up children are rather different from my own, and I accept that, and so I expect them to be brought up entirely differently. If the truth be told, I quite enjoy spoiling them.
Like most grandparents, I'm sure. Now, your penultimate choice of record is a carol. Why, Margaret?
Yes, I had the experience just recently of going to Grunsborough Church and there seeing the nativity play that my granddaughter Sarah was in. And that reminded me of all the years I've been to primary school concerts, perhaps in a crummy church hall, perhaps in a school hall, and I've sat on little tiny chairs, and I've watched the same story being reenacted and reenacted again and again. And I was so amused this year because the King Herod was Broad Suffolk, and he said, "I am king here. There is no king but I." And I thought a Christmas carol would sum up my continuing interest in the children, the grandchildren, and in the traditions that get passed on down the generations. And I've chosen a carol that, just because I like it, a medieval carol that perhaps isn't very well known. It's Adam Lay Bounden, and I like to hear that now.